Well, good afternoon, everybody. Eric with American Business Systems. Want to welcome you here to our Wednesday webinar. Thank you for joining us, and we are looking forward to talking with you today about how much can I earn working from home in my own medical billing business. So again, my name's Eric Auger. Sometimes my last name's hard to say. So there's your French lesson for the day. It's a French Cajun name there. So you get to know a little bit about my background and history there. But I've been around with ABS for over 15 years here, helping Patrick and the team talk with you about the business opportunity. And speaking of the years being around, ABS is going on its 30th year pretty quickly. We're about to finish up 28, and gosh, in January this next year, which is only about 3 months and 3.5 more months away, if you can believe that, they'll be 29 years old. So wow, here we go, knocking on the door of 30, being in business. And folks, when you're looking for a company, obviously you want to find something with some longevity. I think anybody that's in business over 5 years has a pretty good track record, because you can kind of know what's happened over the last few years. And gosh, if they're around for 5 years, you know they're doing pretty well. But 28 years, knocking on 30, that's a pretty long time. So ABS has been around, and as we know, that has survived many different ups and downs in the economy. And what's helped us here is that we've got solid partnerships. We've got a solid partnership with NextGen Healthcare. They're the ones that help us and maintain and supply all the updates and upgrades that are needed for our billing program called iClaim and EMRX. Plus, their service line helps our new ABS business owners get set up, helps talk with the doctors, does demos, does everything that you can imagine. So we've got great excuse me, partnerships like NextGen that helps us you build your business. So be around with some trusted folks like that is incredible. I'll share with some of those others. But besides iClaim and EMRX, we've got other solutions: virtual care, Audit Guard, CodeWrite, Dentimax. Those that are interested in doing dental billing, you can do that. Some of you may already be there doing some medical billing. So gosh, we have that. AutoCard, Choice Pay, Quick Collect, we've got them all there. And again, here is some of our technology partners that helps us with all of these different things, and actually more than what that we were able to even list on those little white boxes there. So there's plenty of support through some great technology partners. The awards that through our technology partners that have been won and awarded and all of these different things here, obviously we have those to share with you. Let's talk with you about who started this. You might say that Patrick started it, but actually his lovely bride, Linda, was one that actually started this, because she was the one that was actually got a part-time job over 30 years doing medical billing. And he might tell a little bit of his story there, but he thought, wow, this is something good. It's something that's duplicatable. And gosh, instead of giving a man a fish for a day, he taught a man how to fish for a lifetime. And so through the family business of what they've been able to put together has just been incredible. And since then, Patrick has written several books: one, How to Reprogram Yourself for Success; The New Thriving Medical Practice, which we'll talk a little bit about later on today in the broadcast; and then Cash Crunch, Cash Flow. And both Patrick and Adam are part of the editorial board for Billing and Coding Advantage magazine, so you can see some of their articles there. And Patrick is also the co-founder of an organization called MIRMA. Now, this is very important for you, because this organization is the organization that actually certifies you as a certified medical revenue manager, CRM. So you're wanting to make sure that you have that, and the only way to get that is through the ABS training. So folks, without any further ado, I'm going to ask Patrick to join me, and it's good to see you via technology. Look at you. You're in the ABS world, wherever that is. And you got to turn on your microphone.
There we go, with a logo.
Yes, with the logo. Yeah.
Yeah. I love how these people say, now click here. They're going, click here.
Yeah.
There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Hey, no, back to the topic here, folks. You're right. This is great for those of you who are not aware what kind of money can be made doing medical billing. Just sitting at your home or in a cafe somewhere that has an internet connection, just doing medical billing, you can be making thousands of dollars a month, hundreds of dollars a day at least. And we're going to prove that to you here in just a minute.
You bet. Patrick, I want you to kind of kick off here because, as they would say, not everybody's born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you got started? Where is your background?
Hey, just because I have
because some
silver
people
hair,
think, gosh, right?
does not mean I have a silver spoon in my mouth. No, I was born probably in one of the lowest income areas of the Fort Worth area. And that was many years ago. But the point is, I did not grow up with any money. I did not inherit money. I did not win the lottery. I did not become a doctor or a banker or an attorney. Those are usually how you make a lot of money and become wealthy in America. I basically just went to the School of Hard Knocks, dropped out of college when I was about 20 hours away from a degree in psychology. I'm proud to say that I am one of those people that just didn't need that piece of paper.
Yeah.
So, but here I am, and I'm grateful for what this business has done for me and my family. Had it not been for Linda starting to do the medical billing back in the early 90s, we wouldn't be where we're at. We just got asked by a lot of friends and relatives, people who found out the kind of money that we were making. We were building a new home, buying new cars, and they were going, wait a minute, you guys never leave the home, and when you do, you're in your bathrobe, so what's going on? What kind of drugs are you selling out there on the street?
Right.
It turns out that this became more profitable than I ever dreamed it would, and I got involved with it after Linda started making some good money. And then I thought, well, now we could teach other people how to do this. Obviously, there is a product here, a market for people who just don't want to reinvent the wheel. They just want to do what we did. And so I went on to those are some pictures of me, by the way, in my early days when I sold waterless cookware from the Salad Master Corporation over in Dallas. Don't know why I'm standing out there in the front of it there, but anyway, and then there I was, I think that was when I was actually working for Apple Computer. I worked for them for a couple of years there, and then they shut down the plant out in North Dallas. And literally we were without income because Linda at that time had just stopped doing, the billing for this one guy that she was doing it for. And I had to figure out, how do we build this thing back up to where it was and go get some clients? So over the next few years, that's what I developed, and we put together our turnkey package.
There you go. Yeah, because you talk about that in your book. It just real briefly, this one right here. I'm gonna kind of just go back to it and just kind of give the highlights there, really kind of what it means to reprogram yourself for success. What is that all about, Patrick?
That's all about mindset. Everything in life is, what kind of mindset do you have? Eric, I'm doing a series of webinars for our licensees starting next Friday, starting tomorrow, Thursday. I'm doing a live broadcast on our Facebook page for all of our business owners, because a lot of people don't realize how important it is that your mindset be correctly tuned, not just to positive thoughts and affirmations and all that kind of crap, but for tuning into what you think about money. For example, if you don't think correctly about money, and if you were raised thinking money is the root of all evil, and you can't, only the wealthy people or all the bad people, those are things that will hold you back in life.
Right.
So anyway, I'm going to be teaching about that. By the way, I don't want people to go out to Amazon and buy this book. They can get a copy of it from their ABS rep. Just go back to the person who invited you to this webinar and say, hey, I want a copy of Patrick's book, How to Reprogram Yourself for Success. And we'll send you an electronic copy of that.
Awesome. There you go. Well, let's talk about wealth, perceived wealth. I mean, everybody has their thinking about what wealth is. Somebody that has all their bills paid, and maybe their house is paid for. If they're making $50,000 a year, to them, that's all the wealth that they ever need.
Yeah, and you could study to become a doctor and make, like you show there, Eric, 175 to 225 is about the average for a general practitioner nowadays. But we've got licensees making that kind of money just doing the billing for for 3 to 5 doctors.
3 to 5 doctors, yeah, and that's achievable. And a lot of people might ask, how long does it take to get to 3 to 5 doctors? And depending upon what kind of work that you put into it, trying to get that first doctor. That's always the biggest challenge, getting that first. Number 2 and 3 actually kind of roll in pretty quickly after that. So we've seen licensees or our business owners here at ABS get started and have 3 to 5 doctors within the first year and a half to 2 years. And most businesses, if they are successful within the first 2 years, just getting their first client is phenomenal. But we've seen our licensees here end up with 2 to 3, 4 doctors within the first 2 years of being in business.
Yes, it's amazing how fast people can get a return on their investment. By the way, folks, if you haven't seen some of our other webinars, we kind of assume things sometimes when we do these because we do them every week, but we do have a license fee. It's kind of like a franchise fee. Any franchise that you invest in, you're going to have a franchise fee of anywhere from $50,000 to $2 million. So ours is about $29,000, but it includes lifetime membership in our association, access to our free Facebook group, which has over 200 members in it now, and then of course lifetime support through our support website and our team of people here that can coach you and guide you and hold your hand through the process of getting your business going. All that's included, of course, along with our 10 modules of training, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
You bet. Now, folks, again, remember, we're about 15 minutes into the program, and here comes one of our first questions here. So I appreciate the one that said that. So if you got any questions, feel free to shoot those out to us, and we'll see what we can do to help answer those questions. Patrick, you want to tackle that first question before we move on?
Yeah, I think the name is Chinwe, maybe.
Chinwe, yeah.
It says, hello, sir. If someone attends the training with a spouse, will they be issued a separate certificate for each person or just one certificate for one spouse? We are going to issue a separate certificate for each person that is a spouse or a financial partner in your business. They all get certified, and they can all go through that training all at the same time in different locations even.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. All right. So we're going to dive into one of the first questions that we kind of want to go through is, what is the demand and growth potential for the medical billing industry? And Patrick, again, before anybody gets into any business, they got to go, gosh, is there a demand? Is there any potential growth? Is it waiting away? Is it kind of going by the wayside? Is it just a fad? And Patrick, I remember whenever I first started with you, seems like forever ago, but over 15 years ago, you and I were talking about this. I remember whenever I first got involved with you, I actually asked you, gosh, Patrick, really, how long is this going to last? And I think at that time, y'all were 13, 14 years old then at that point. And you said you were surprised it was still going then, but look at you now.
I've always been surprised every year that because I thought at one time, doctors were all doing all their own billing, and it was on paper. And I thought, well, eventually, as they all get computers, they'll all be doing it in their own office with their own staff, their own software. And many of them do, of course, about half of them. But the other half are still either on paper or they're outsourcing it already to someone else. So the market is just wide open, Eric. Our business owners, our licensees, we call them, they're signing up doctors every week. And those are doctors, many of them, who are doing the billing themselves in their own office. And we've shown them how that we can increase their revenue by turning it over to somebody who's a specialist. And so it just continues to grow. It's just amazing. I'm fascinated by it.
You bet. Well, here is a research, and we're Patrick and I are always looking for data out there, and so you can see this. This is from researchandmarkets.com report, and they talk about U.S. revenue cycle management. So for those that have never been in medical billing before, it's kind of called RCM, revenue cycle management. That's what medical billing is. So when you start to think about these terms, and then people start asking you, so what kind of business are you in? Well, we're in revenue cycle management. And for those that know anything about it, especially doctors, they're going to know that you're talking about billing. But, here it was, some data captured last year, 2021, and the projected growth just going 7 years out it looks like it's doubled to me. I mean, I like to look at graphics. To me, it
Yeah.
looks like it's pretty much doubled there.
Yeah, and that's just from last year, which is when this report was done. It's the latest report they've done, so that's all we have. But it projects everything out to 2028. And look, it's going to go
Yeah.
from 136 billion. Can I draw that circle around that? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, look
you
at
got
that.
it. Yeah, look at you getting
136
fancy.
billion to 286 billion dollars. So, folks, if you're looking for a growth market, I can't think of anything better than healthcare. And look, by the way, this little reference that you see down here, I know that's hard to read anyway, but you can get a printout of all of these slides from your ABS rep. Again, the person who invited you to this webinar, reply to their email, or we'll show you our generic email address here in just a moment. And you can just send us an email and say, hey, I want the the PDF of all the slides that you guys showed today. And we'll be glad to send that to you. And then you can look at these in detail. Yeah.
Yeah. Patrick is asking, is there a way to duplicate my efforts to build a passive income? Might need a little bit more information from that, Patrick, what you're asking. So maybe you can add a little bit more of what you're clarify a little bit so we can maybe answer that question for you.
Yeah, Patrick, I get the feeling sometimes that when people ask a question like that, they're hinting that they want to know whether this is some sort of multi-level marketing or network marketing thing, and it's not. You can certainly hire other people to do the work for you, though, Patrick, and that's how many people turn this into a passive income. There's literally people who just manage and oversee the whole thing, all the accounts. They are the interaction with the doctor themselves, but the actual billing work is done by somebody that they hire. We show you how to do that, and you can hire them as contractors, even where you don't have to worry about taxes or anything. Yeah.
And then Cheryl's asking, do you get unlimited free help with helping close the doctors? The answer to that is yes. You've got it. Yeah. So what happens when you sign up a doctor and all of their past patient records? We help you with that as well, Cheryl. And does the doctor have to go through every patient and input every record for everything that has been done for them in the past? There's a whole process. And as I mentioned earlier, we're partnered with a technology partner called NextGen. They've been converting doctors over to their system for years. So they're there to help us, along with our personal support team here at ABS. All of your technology partners that are here at ABS also help out with that as well. So that's a big, huge help, Cheryl. So obviously, when you're trying to get started and you may not know a lot, there's where the investment of the $28,990, the $29,000 comes into play here with getting things set up there. So great.
Yes.
Patrick, ROI, because everybody's wanting to know. I mean, you and I've just talked about, it's just under $30,000. How do I get that back into my pocket and then actually start making money?
Well, Eric has simplified this, folks, with a series of slides here we're going to look at, because let's just start with one doctor. What is the average yearly potential income billing for one doctor? If you just have one client. Now, folks, in your area, if you do a research, just Google doctors, or you can even Google specialists in your area, and you'll find that there's probably hundreds. No matter how small your town is, there are doctors within, say, driving distance, maybe 50, 60 miles of where you live, that all are potential prospects for your services. And we have over a dozen different services that you can offer to them in addition to the billing. So there's lots and lots of business waiting for you out there. So Eric, take us through this.
Yes. So if we got one doctor, and we've kind of broken this down to where you can kind of just grab it, and I think everybody's going to understand where we're coming from. So if you got one doctor, on average, that doctor is going to see about 25 patients a day. Now, obviously, if you've ever been to the doctor and you go in the waiting room, it always seems like there's more than 25 there. So, but on average during the day, one doctor is going to see 20 to 25 to 30 patients in a day's time. Each of those visits, or what you would call encounters, is you would kind of think about it in a billing format. Each of those are going to be about $150 reimbursed back to the doctor. So if you pay in cash, obviously it's about $150. If it's sent out to an insurance company, it's going to be $150, $175, somewhere around in that area. So if you just simply take that 150 times 25 patients, again, a day, the revenue for that doctor is going to be somewhere around about $3,750, $3,750 whenever you're looking at that. So then how does that roll out to you? What does that make you? If the doctor's making nearly $4,000 a day, and that's typically about what the doctors are generating cash flow, and that's what they're looking for. What is my cash flow? What's my bottom dollar? Where do I need to be to kind of get ahead of the game, pay bills, pay back loans, or whatever else they need? That's what you're certainly helping the doctor with. So the average percentage of what you collect is going to be about 7% of that 3,750. That's what you're going to be doing. So your average income per day is going to roughly be about $262.50 a day. Now, for those that are looking to do this part-time, you're thinking this is not bad. I mean, because now we're just talking about one doctor seeing about 25 patients a day. And if you're just kind of doing some mental calculation so far, you're thinking, gosh, all I need to do is have about one doctor that's seeing 25 patients a day. That's 25 claims that you're filing each day, Monday through Friday. And that's going to take you less than 2 hours. I mean, if you think about it, now that's if you're really slow. Some of our once you kind of get the hang of it, dealing with 25 claims a day will really get down to, it's not going to take you any more than about an hour, but we kind of leave some buffer room there because obviously you're following up on other claims and you're doing other things for that doctor. So roughly, if you've got one doctor and he's seeing or she's seeing about 25 patients, doing the billing and then doing some of the follow-up on each of those claims, roughly it's going to be 90 minutes to 2 hours a day. Okay, so just think about that in that time frame.
Hey, Eric, so before you go on, let me go back.
Sure.
You mentioned the 7%. I just want to point out that is you mentioned the word collect. You collect about 7%, and that's correct. But it's the fact that they're actually charging the doctor. This is what you get paid, 7% of what you collect for the doctor.
Yeah.
So
whatever that is. There. Yeah.
It could be 6%. I've heard it as low as 5%. I've heard it as high as 9%, 10%. It just depends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we will help you price that out properly with our support team. Then again, if you just take that same doctor, you're making $262.50 a day times five days a week. You're bringing in about $1,300 a week for 52 weeks. You're making $68,250 a year with one doctor. So basically, you can see you've doubled your investment. Again, someone just asked, how much was the investment? We've talked about $30,000. It's $28,990, just under $30,000. So you can see there with just one doctor, you can literally double your money within the first year. At least get your investment back, because that's what people want to know: is how quickly can I get my return that I've invested back into my pocket, and then start breaking even and start moving ahead there.
Right.
Yep.
Now, 68,000. I mean, for a lot of people, that's a decent income. But when you think about the fact that you're only putting in 90 minutes a day, okay, let's say it's a half a day, 4 hours a day. That's still pretty good money, Eric, and you can work from home in your pajamas.
Yep. And then obviously, if you and a spouse or a business partner, you've got two, and you guys are, you're all within the same household, you're making over $100,000. And again, you got one person working a couple hours, you got another person working another couple of hours, and then you got a husband and wife team and a family or whatever is going on there. All of a sudden now you've got an income that's generating over $100,000. You're not leaving home. You're not having to pay for gas. You're not having to pay for whatever, except working from home. And that's what you're looking at. And so, Patrick, I know a lot of people think, gosh, if I could just make $100,000, then that's where I need to be. And you can see with just two doctors, you'll be well over that. But again, remember what the average of our licensees, our business owners are getting. They're getting 3 doctors. So imagine having 3 types of these same doctors, depending upon what you're charging them percentage wise and what kind of volume they have, and a few other little nitpicking things there. But you can see, not only can you break the $100,000 mark, but with 3 doctors, you're going to be in the $200,000 mark. Obviously, at 5 doctors, you're going to be well within, way past $300,000 there.
Yeah. Eric,
So
let's show them where you got these numbers. We have
yeah,
a tool on
absolutely.
our.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, we have a tool on our website, folks. If you go to the very bottom of our generic website, now that's the one that you see, well, on most slides, not this one, but it's absystems.com. If you go down to the very bottom, you'll see a little income calculator link. And if you click on that, you'll be able to fill in the blanks. Look, he just took what we filled in here. We have the 7%, 150 per patient, 25 a day, and that's $68,000 a year. So you can plug in your own numbers. We encourage you to do that because you might think a lot bigger than we do about those numbers there. Yeah. And if you do, you'll start getting excited about what the potential is. Remember, nothing's guaranteed. Nobody's saying that you're going to absolutely make $68,000. It's just that if you want to build this business, folks, and you do what we teach you to do, and you can follow instructions, this is the potential that's there. It's just huge.
Sure. Yep, absolutely. And that's what you've got to understand. And again, I know business owners that have been here since I've been here, and they're still going at it, and they've built their business and have done very, very well. Patrick, Cheryl's asking another question here, or actually Patrick asked the question, can I get a trainer that is bilingual, Spanish and English? I'm sure that I'm not sure if we've got a Spanish translator, Patrick, or not.
Well, that's why I didn't answer that question, Eric, because I don't know either.
Okay. And Cheryl's asking, besides some money that it takes to create an LLC and some other money to pay clients to process them, what other out-of-pocket expenses come along with this that are not covered under the $29,000 franchise or the fee there? Patrick, can you think of anything else other than just anything else that you can think of for people?
Well, assuming that somebody has, an internet connection, you'd have to pay for that if you don't have one.
Sure.
A cell phone, you'd have to have a cell phone. You're going to pay for that each month. There really are not any ongoing expenses and nothing that you're going to pay to ABS. In fact, we tell people after you pay that initial licensing fee for us, what you can think of as a franchise fee, there's no other money that you ever give to ABS for anything.
Yeah.
All of our training, all of our upgrades to the software, all the new codes that are uploaded to the system, those are all included, folks. We don't nickel and dime you. It's just not possible to do that for us.
Yeah, and folks understand this, that although that ABS is a turnkey type business, because they're going to educate you, support you, supply you with all the needs, all the marketing material that we'll show you here in a little bit, all those things. There's still a business part of this where Patrick's talking about internet service and cell phone services that you have and the typical things that we probably already have already. Now you can just, from a tax advantage, start writing some of that off because you are in business. So that's a good thing that you can start thinking about there. But then, it's just a business. So you just have to treat this as a business and not just, hey, I'm going to put some money in here and all of a sudden, poof, I'm going to start making, a lot of money here. You just got to work this business as you would just any other type of business. So Patrick, one of the questions that we have here that we'd like to ask, and I like to ask, Patrick, have other people built wealth at offering medical billing services through ABS?
Well, I found the perfect graphic for that, Eric, that answers that question. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about Brian and Laura Dean.
Yeah, Brian and Laura. Wow. Here's one of those couples that just took this business and ran with it, Eric. They just said, you know what? This is our tool to become financially free. And so, as you can see, this is written back as of 2021. They said the business has 17 full-time employees. I'm trying to wrap my brain around that. Would they own a 6,000 square foot office space that services between 400 and 500 doctors, providers, medical providers, and it replaces 3 to 4 times their previous income for both of us, and boasts a 45 to 55% profit margin. As you can tell, they've done the math on this, and they're pretty excited what this business has done for them.
You bet. That kind of goes with Chinwee's question here. Can one person effectively manage 6 doctors without hiring any contractors or employees? I think you can. Usually what I would typically say is if one doctor takes you about 2 hours, then if you're trying to put in 8 hours in, that's 8 hours with 4 doctors. Now, doesn't mean that you don't start getting better at what you're doing, and you kind of get into a rhythm, and you can maybe work 3 doctors in the morning and 3 doctors in the afternoon. Doesn't mean that you can't handle 6 doctors and maybe spend a little bit more time. So
I'd say that's a good number. I usually hold up my hand and say, you know what, you get a handful of doctors, 5 to 6.
Yeah.
And you're full time, no doubt about it. If you're doing all the work yourself, you might need to hire somebody after 5 or 6, but you'll be making pretty good money for sure.
But you can even see with Brian and Laura, I mean, they've got full-time employees and they're still making pretty good. So yeah, you can do pretty well. Absolutely.
Yeah, some people try to keep this business small, and they don't want it to be big enough where they have to manage people or anything like that. And that's fine if that's where you want to be. Maybe you're happy with, I don't know, 68 times 2 would be whatever that is. I can't do that math in my head, but it's a lot of money if you just had 2 doctors, and that may be all you want to do, because your lifestyle is such that you want to travel, you want to do other things, you have some side gigs. I don't know, maybe you own some property. I don't know what you want to do besides this, but you could certainly do it. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Now, Patrick, we've got, I don't know if this is a video that we're about to play here. Hopefully,
I think it is.
Okay, so let's see if this is going to play, and hopefully we can hear it properly.
I'm going to mute my mic here.
I felt like I was a little nervous because I didn't know anything about the medical industry, but it was hitting all those other factors. And then once I started speaking with my representative at ABS, once I touched base with ABS and I had a person who I was working with, a sales rep, if you will, they started reassuring me that you don't have to have a background in medical billing. And I was still nervous. I kind of just didn't believe it. I did a few things. One, I did a surprise trip to Texas, which isn't really recommended because anybody wants to have a heads up, but I still did it because I thought this is too good to be true. And I went down there and they really do exist and everything was great. That was even before I went down for training. I had a wonderful rep that I spoke with, that I worked with, that reassured me all the way through. And then finally, I just decided I would make the leap of faith. I thought if they have this laid out with proper training, and of course I was able to speak with other licensees, just like you're all able to speak with me today. But I thought if they're willing to do the training and they have this laid out for me, I'm the type of person that where there's a will, there's a way, and I can make it work. And so I took that leap of faith, and boy, am I ever glad that I did. It was a wonderful decision. I wish I had done it 10 years ago. So that's how I ended up there, and I'm so happy.
Give us a little feel for the training that you went through and what you got out of that, and how that relates to how easy or hard the system is to follow.
Well, it's a great system to follow. ABS has done the work with the training to get it completely laid out in a fashion that I don't want to say cookie cutter, because you have flexibility to branch off of the business model, which is what's really nice and flexible about it, for you to be able to service your clients. But basically, the system is really great to use. It's laid out. As far as the training goes, the first phase, I'll call it, which is your initial training session. They have it laid out. ABS has it laid out into several different categories that you go through, different subjects pertaining to this career. and they give you a complete fresh start with showing you exactly what you need to do, what plan to follow. They don't just give you the tools and say, go ahead. They give you an actual plan with it on how to do it and to follow this plan. And I found when I left training, I said to myself, I can either take these things with a grain of salt and go try some of them, or I can do exactly what they laid out for me. And if I don't do exactly what ABS laid out for me, then I certainly can't complain that it didn't work later. So I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. And so I completely followed the plan that ABS gave me in the training. And now here I am today. And I feel we're doing very well and successful. I know to a lot of people, successful is a relative term. I'll tell you, I'm not making $1 billion, but I will tell you that someday I will. And right now I'm making, my husband and I are both able to make this income as well as employ others and have kids in college and pay our bills and travel. And we're living dream right now. It's what we've always dreamed of. And ABS helped us to make that happen. And so I can't stress enough that the ABS system is easy enough to work with, that you definitely don't need the background ahead of time. And as long as you put your mind to it and you follow the plan, you can definitely do it. Absolutely.
It's not like a franchise.
It's not like a franchise. I don't give any of my money to ABS whatsoever. As you know, Patrick, I'm saying that for everybody else that's watching, but I don't give a dime to ABS. If there's any money that they're making, it would be through, like you said, some of the software features and things like that. But that's what I love, because we did look into the franchising business as well. And we found several things. You know, it's very expensive startup. You have to be rich to start one, I feel like. And we just didn't have that kind of cash. We didn't want to spend our kids' college money, you know, those types of things. So that was appealing, as well as after you start the business, that you're not giving any percentage to ABS of your income. It's all of your income. And you have complete control of how much money you earn and how big you get. I am someone who, you know, I've known other licensees who set up these beautiful offices. They hire a dozen people or more, and they're doing incredibly well. My husband and I have decided that we don't want that. I just mentioned we want the freedom to travel. So we run our offices remotely and out of our home. And it works just fine. It works very well. And we are stingy. We don't want to share with too many people. So some people say, oh, you don't want to get too big. Well, we feel like we're doing pretty well with just us and the few employees that we have, and we're doing great. So you can decide what kind of a business you want to set up, how big you want to get in terms of how many employees and the income that you're making. But otherwise, you know, the sky is the limit to your income, and you don't have to share it with anyone, with the exception, obviously, of your partner or your employees. So with one of my billing accounts, for example, I have one that that we bill for, and we charge 6%. But we charge this particular account 6% across the board with no other fees. And this account, we make about $60,000 a year from this account, just one account. So that kind of gives you a range. I know sometimes we make even more than the one account I talked about before when it's a really great account. That's just one example. So that's kind of an example without telling you exactly how much money we're making. It shows you that there is a range, and you can decide how big you want to go with it. And some people start off small, and I recommend, you know, really getting your first couple of accounts dialed in before you start taking on 20 more. But on the other hand, take those 20 accounts and hire some licensees to help with it. Never turn down business either. So you have to find that sweet spot, I would say.
Isn't that a great testimonial, Eric?
I was going to say, what else do we need to say? I mean,
You know,
she knocked it out of the park.
I mean, as I'm listening to that, every time I hear her testimonial, I just think, okay, we can stop it right there. But then there's so much good stuff. I just think, well, no, we got to let that go. People would rather hear from somebody who's actually in this business and has gone through the training, made the investment, than to listen to you or I. You or I could be just making stuff up, you know?
You bet. And Jacqueline, during that interview, asked if there are no royalties, how does ABS profit from this? And she actually answered that a little bit. You want to go in that a little bit deeper before we go to the next slide here?
Hey, can you jump to slide 45 for me, Eric?
I
That would
certainly
be a good
can.
one.
Yeah,
Let's
you
show
bet.
that. That and 46 will explain how ABS profits without our business owners. There it is. Look, folks, these are the ancillary services that Eric briefly mentioned earlier that you're able to offer. Now, remember, on this webinar, we can't cover everything about our business, but there are webinars where we go into more detail about some of these services. I think we even have a few slides in this deck. But the point is, folks, that we make a few pennies off of several different services that you offer to doctors, in addition to the billing itself, and those are paid to us from our technology partners like NextGen, not you. Any other fees that are for the access to the system and so forth, the doctor pays those fees, not you.
Right.
So
Right.
the point is that no, there's no other out-of-pocket expense for you once you get involved with us in our business. We're just not going to do that. In fact, every new service that we offer, we don't charge you any extra licensing fees for those. You can either offer them or not. That's up to you. And again, we make a few pennies. There's even brochures that we've had developed on every one of those services. And folks, these either bring in more money for a doctor or keep the doctor from losing money. That's what this business is all about. Bring in more, lose less.
There you go. I'm going to jump back to the question that we were about to go into, because again, as we're kind of wrapping this thing up, we've got about 15 more minutes here, folks. And so if you got any more questions, feel free to shoot us over a question. And Jacqueline says, thank you for answering that in a little bit more depth there. So again, really at the end of the day, why would a doctor even outsource to me? I thought I'd put this up here. If people have seen this before, this kind of answers the question why a doctor would outsource to you. And that is this graph here, what we've created here, because a lot of people think, like you even said in the beginning of the webinar, you were thinking that whenever Linda got started, gosh, why would a doctor ever use us? And because doesn't all doctors have their own billers? Yeah. This kind of tells the story right here.
I thought that honestly, Eric, when I needed to go out and actually find some clients to add to the ones that she had, I thought, gosh, why would people even consider outsourcing us when they can do it in their own office with their own people, with their own software, with their own computers? Turns out those people inside the office cost a lot more than we did. For example, if you were charging a doctor on 100 claims per week at $150 per claim, for 52 weeks, that's 7%. That would only be $54,000 that the doctor would pay you during that year. But look, the doctor could pay twice that when you look at all the other expenses that the doctor has that they don't have by outsourcing to you. So anyway, again, I would take a screenshot of this if you guys want to refer back to this, or ask for the printout of the PDF of all these slides from your ABS rep.
Even if you just took this is for 1.5 full-time employees that usually takes it to, you just take that right there, you can save the doctor just the difference between those two right there.
Right.
I mean, folks, that's why, because again, if the doctors can squeak out another $14,000 of savings of what they're thinking about, that's what they're looking for. And so you bet there is certainly ways in which you can help the doctor. And these are some of the reasons why they would outsource to you. Some of just the other things we'll just touch on real briefly is, that a lot of doctors do have a high rate of denied claims. Now, again, we're not going to be able to get in the depths of this, into the weeds, as they would say. And again, that's why we've got this information here for you in these slides. But there's an organization out there called HBMA, Healthcare Business Management Association, that says it's not unusual to have a 35% or higher claim rejection rate. Well, Patrick, I don't know if you've said it yet, but now's a good time for you to talk about what's the average rejection rate that our business owners have.
It's less than 2%. We know that because we have a cloud-based system that keeps all of the records and all the percentages and numbers within our system. So we can peek at that anytime we want to and say, without a doubt, nationwide, it's less than 2%. Now compare that
Yeah.
with 35% or higher claim rejection rate, and you'll see why our licensees don't have a hard time selling this to a doctor, because that's just more money in their bank account each month.
Yeah, the government accountability office says that one as well. It could be about 6% over 30%. And so how can we find that? Well, Patrick, you might want to step them through this. This is a little bit of a questionnaire, and then the report that comes out of this questionnaire.
Yeah, we came up with what we call a patient a practice analysis questionnaire. And it's just a series of questions that we've come up with over the years that we happen to know that by getting this information from the office manager, usually that's who you get it from, or the doctor, that you can then put that into a spreadsheet software that we have that's already laid out, drop the numbers in, and here's what you can come back with to the doctor and show them. And I think we have a little zoomed in version of that, but that's what it looks like. And there we go. Now you see that this particular doctor had what, an approximate 25% rejection rate. See the third number up there, 25%. And then we have an uncollected rate, we know, of about 2%. So when you do the math on this, folks, it's $10,000 a month more brought into the doctor over a year's time. That's $122,000 increase. Now, you know what? If I were a doctor, Eric, and you brought this back to me, first of all, I'd say, well, where'd you get these numbers? Well, I got it from your office manager, or you gave them to me. Okay, so I can't argue with the numbers, can I? But
No.
I do know this, that even if that number at the bottom there was half that, even if it was 60, whatever it is, 60,000 in increased revenue per year, I'd say, okay, let's give this guy a try.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And so this is why we just kind of laid that out real quickly for you to show you in that graph picture there, the difference between in-house billing versus outsourced billing, and then just using their numbers. And that's why a lot of people don't have to worry about selling this. Again, you're educating the doctor on where they are and where they could be. And that's really the difference of what and why so many people have become so successful at this. Because again, what we like to call the ABS advantage gives us that opportunity to kind of keep things pretty close into everything, because we're not having to piecemeal a practice management system, which is what iClaim is in that upper left-hand corner, and then tag it in or kind of bridge that over, or integrate that into a electronic medical records. This is all integrated inside of our one unit, including for those that are familiar with billing. You know that when you do billing, you have to have a, I think we're doing
no, sorry. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. That's all right. I jumped ahead of you there real quickly, but the clearinghouse is something that you need to actually get the claims from your billing system over to the insurance company. And you can see within here, the iClaim package right here, that we actually have a clearinghouse inside of it. Now, there's not like a little building inside of there, but it's just show you to kind of represent it, that all of that takes place within inside of our system. So you talk about a great advantage. That's why we can have our denial rates below 2% and then get these doctors paid much quicker. We're talking 7 to 10 days in a lot of areas here.
Oh yeah, and doctors love that too. We've had licensees file something on a Monday, and the money is in the doctor's bank account on Friday. You tell me they don't love that, because sometimes it takes 45 to 90 days to get that money from the insurance companies and Medicare.
You bet. Now, Patrick, I know we kind of skipped around with some of this, but this is okay. This is why we build these slide decks the way that we do. And Chinwee's asking about marketing and marketing resources and books, and then flyers, and then support. This is a great way to kind of start wrapping up the webinar anyway. So because we've got roughly about 8 minutes anyway left here, let's kind of talk about the lifetime support and their support that they're getting. Yeah.
So as far as cost of marketing materials, some people never have to buy any. We give you a ton of books that we'll show here in just a moment. that are marketing tools for you, and flyers. You saw those just a moment ago. And those are all provided to you. Over 2,000 of those pieces are provided. So some people never have to buy another piece of marketing material. They get their first client, and they're often running with referrals at that point. But if you do need to buy those are sold to you basically at our printing cost. Literally, folks, we do not make any money on the sale of our marketing materials. We want you to order those and give those out freely and not have to worry about the cost. So these things are just pennies per flyer with your name printed on them. So, yeah.
Yep. And then you got the lifetime of support through our MIRMA group. Again, this is the group that will certify you as a certified medical revenue manager. And, you know, here are some of the folks that are actually on the board and some support members that are on that. But Patrick, I know that we're kind of run up against the top of the hour already. This hour has gone by quickly. But I want to talk about one of the best marketing pieces that you've ever come up with, and that is the new thriving medical business practice. And so let's kind of talk about that and then share about, you know, how this actually works.
Yeah, we partnered with Dr. Vicki Rackner, who's a retired general surgeon, several years ago. She and I got together and we wrote a book called The New Thriving Medical Practice. Now, folks, this is how important this book is. Doctors have been sent this book in the mail, and we teach you exactly how to highlight and mark it up and stick some little sticky stickers on it so that the doctor doesn't have to read the whole thing. They just go through, look at the highlighted thing, and they've literally picked up the phone and called our licensees, our business owners, and said, hey, I think I've got some of these problems pointed out in this book that you sent me. Thank you for the book, but hey, come talk to us about what you can do to solve some of these problems. So what we allow you to do is to put your name on the front cover of the book. You notice down there at the bottom, it says forward by Susan Smith, CMRM. That's what you're going to have after your name once you go through our training, Certified Medical Revenue Manager. And your name will be on the inside front cover, as you see there. And at the end of the forward, we have a forward that we just put your name and contact information at the end of that forward. It's a wonderful way for you to get such credibility that's unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable credibility from just having your name there.
Yep. And then if that's not good enough for you, we actually created another book.
My son Adam also co-wrote a book here just this year called 9 Ways Doctors Let Money Slip Through Their Fingers. Again, you're given a supply of these. I think there's about 20 of each one of these books that you're given initially, and you can reprint those at about $4 a copy is all these cost, Eric. People don't realize that paperback books that sell like this one does for $24.95 can be purchased from the printer directly, like we have connections, at about $4 a copy. So it's a great marketing tool. Your name is on the back cover of this one, right beneath Dr. Vicki's. Oh, I'm sorry, we skipped there. That's another book now that we're showing you. 10 critical questions for physicians. So we got several books that you can put your name and company name information on as a marketing tool.
Yeah, so we've got you covered. We're going to take you, if you don't know anything about marketing, we are going to help you get there. So I think we've answered the question about how much money you can make. And on top of that, just to get you started, you know, folks, if you need a guarantee, you're not going to find another guarantee like this in the industry, whether it's coming to business opportunities or franchise. Patrick, once you take it, and then we need to kind of wrap up here because we've got about 4 minutes left, it looks like.
I came up with this about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And we said, look, let's just start offering an unconditional 30-day money-back guarantee. And my staff looked at me and thought, are you crazy? People could go through our training, get all the proprietary information, steal it, download it, keep it, and start their own business without, you know, and we'd give their money back. And I said, yep, that's what we're going to do. Well, it turns out, Eric, only a handful of people, I mean, literally very few people have asked for their money back, because once they go through our training, they realize we have much, much more that's worth a whole lot more than the $29,000 fee. So they keep it, and they start and they build their business. But it has happened, and we're willing to do that. If, you know, for some reason people don't like it, you can go through our training. Right. As long as it's within the first 30 days, you can get every penny of your money back.
You bet. All right, let's take them through the first steps of what they need to do from after this webinar.
Well, there's a downloadable research guide that you may have seen in some of the emails that you've gotten from us. And if you haven't gotten that already, just ask for it. Look, there's a phone number and an email. You have no email address. You have no excuse for not contacting us and saying, hey, I want that research guide. How do I get that?
There you go. Number two, if you want to watch some of our other past webinars that Patrick and I've done, and especially some of those that we dive into that, here's where you go.
Yes, youtube.com/YABS. Then the third one is basically, there it is, ABS licensee references. So if you want to talk with some of our current owners, like the young lady that you just saw earlier, or any of our licensee owners that are on this list, there's some of them right there. They'll be glad to pick up the phone and answer your questions. So don't hesitate to ask for that list. They will tell you the facts. They've been through their due diligence like you're going through. They've invested the money. They've gone through the training. They've experienced our support, and they've all got clients and they're all making money.
You bet. And then we didn't talk about it much today, but what we are encouraging you to do is for you to see the iClaim and EMRX platform live as a demo. Now, what's important about that is that you're going to experience the same demo that our support team will give to your potential doctor. So that's why we want you to kind of go through it. So imagine that you're going to kind of get a feel as though if your doctor was on the demo, and so ask your ABS rep that you're working with here, say, hey, I would love to be able to see this in action. What does it mean that you guys support me in trying to help me get my first doctor and doing these demonstrations? Let them kind of take you through that. And you do it once, do it twice, do it with your business partner or whoever else you're going to be trying to get this business with. That's what you're going to want to be able to do. So, all right, Patrick, the next thing is get the purchase agreement and review it.
Yeah, it's just 4 pages and it's very easy to understand. We clearly put it in there, our guarantee, what you get for your money, and the lifetime support is explained in there. So you get everything in writing, and all you do is fill that out and send that back to us. And of course, your funds. You've got to come up with the funding, and we can even help you with that. Get back with your ABS rep if you're wondering what we can do to help you with that. So basically, that's it, Eric. I think we just covered everything. The last step, of course, is the training. Folks, you're going to be able to talk with your actual trainer who is going to be doing this with you one-on-one through a Zoom meeting like this one, but it's just you and your spouse or partner. If you want somebody else to be on there, that's fine. And yeah, we'll build this around your schedule so you can get the training done in that first 30-day period. Most people can.
Barak is asking, including training, how long does it usually take to get to your first client? So including the training and to your first client, you know, that's going to be different from everybody. Again, get back with your ABS rep because there's several different scenarios. Obviously, Patrick and I don't have the time to kind of dissect, you know, who you know. Do you already have somewhat of a warm market that you're already working with? So that could be as quick as 60 to 90 days after training. It could be a little bit longer than that, depending upon which marketing techniques that you're going to be using, what you're learning in that training. So again, just get back with the person that invited you. They'll work that through with you. They'll kind of dissect it with you and kind of give you a best estimate is that they obviously can. So.
Yeah, we teach about a dozen different ways to market in our training. Folks, you'd be surprised at how many different ways we've come up with contacting doctors and office managers. And you pick and choose from those with your trainer as to what you think is going to work for you. You may like some of them, you may hate some of them, but there's one of them that's going to help you get that first client. And really, Eric, I tell people all the time, this is all it takes is to get that first client, because if you do a good job for them, the referrals will start coming.
You bet. Patrick, if we got a couple of last minute questions that have come in. So Stephanie says, do you provide assistance in finding potential accounts?
Yes, we do. And the way we do that is we teach you how to find those potential accounts. We don't hand them to you. We don't have doctors lined up at our door ready to sign up. If we did, we probably wouldn't need you at all, right? So no,
Right.
we teach you how to fish, not we don't give you a fish.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. Patrick asks, will this work for marriage and family therapists? I'll answer that real quickly. It's a CMS 1500 form that you're going to be billing. So if those providers bill for those claims on a CMS 1500 form, the answer is yes. So hopefully that helped answer your question. And then Cheryl, does it matter what specialty the doctor has? Like a dentist or a chiropractor. Now, the dentist, they bill on a separate form. They don't bill on the CMS 1500 form. They bill on a completely different form. That's why we got a completely different billing platform for dentists called Dentamax. But for the iClaim system, you can bill for chiropractors because they use the CMS 1500 form, just like a specialist, a cardiologist, any of the specialties markets that are out there, your PCPs, they are all building on that CMS 1500 form. So hopefully that helped answer your question. Patrick, we actually took it into overdrive a little bit. We went over the hour, but that's okay. We're here for these folks here today.
Yeah, and of course, we do these webinars every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Time. Next week, I'm actually interviewing another of our business owners, Eric. I think I interviewed one last week, and we got another one coming up next week. I love interviewing these folks so that people can hear from actual people who have actually done it and can ask them questions. So folks, don't miss that one. Be sure to go back to our website there, absystems.com, and just click on the link at the top there to sign up for another webinar. If you do that sometime tomorrow, probably it'll be signing you up for next week's webinar with this new I was just trying to think of that guy's name that I've got lined up. I have it here. Jay Beatty. Oh, you're gonna love Jay.
Man, that's gonna be a great interview. Yeah. All right, Patrick, from the webinar inside there, and you, Patrick, thank you for both. He said thanks very much for all the answers, so appreciate it. All right, Patrick, thank you this afternoon. I appreciate all that you do, and I appreciate everybody being here and listening to you and me this afternoon.
Hey, thanks for putting this slide deck together today, Eric. See you next week.
Absolutely. Y'all have a great week. Bye-bye.